Okay, let's continue our discussion with some ethical hacking basics. This course is a 100% practical course, but in order to do that practical stuff, we need some basic concepts, and also we need to know some terminologies regarding ethical hacking, pen testing, or red teaming. So let's move forward on the following topics. We are going to have an introduction, some hacking techniques, some terminologies, and some information that you must know. So what is hacking? Hacking is the act of disassembling an item, whatever it is, and getting to know how it works, and also manipulate it in a way that we want to work, and then assemble it again. So this is the basic definition of hacking. But in our course, hacking is the activity of identifying weaknesses in computer systems or networks and exploit them in order to gain access to some network or some data, whatever it is. So who is a hacker? So the person that does this does know some application or some network and knows how to manipulate it in his or her interest in order to gain some special access to something. So that is a hacker. And hackers are classified by their actions. For example, we have ethical hackers, which is what really this course is about. We want to have more and more ethical hackers because they really help the world to be a more and more secure place. And then we have crackers or black hat hackers, which do the same as ethical hackers, but at the end, instead of reporting the vulnerabilities and helping the customer on how to solve it, they, for example, steal data, they steal money and stuff like that. So the white hat hacker does the same, but at last he or she helps the customer or the client to secure themselves. And then we have gray hat hackers, which are hackers who do both of these items here. And then we have script kiddies. Script kiddies are people who are not so advanced. So in basic, this is the definition of a script kiddies. And it's not a good thing. So don't try to be a script kiddie. And script kiddies just use some tools that others have created. They don't write programs, they don't write scripts, they don't know what is going on behind the scenes. So hacktivists are hackers that do their operations or their hacking for some political or ideological purposes. And groups such as Anonymous was the most famous one. And we have advanced persistent threats, which are government-sponsored groups that they do attack countries. And we are going to study a lot about them because the techniques that they use are really what a red teamer does. And we need to learn how they do that and also use our creativity to create new attack methods in order to defend against them. So types of cybercrime, we have computer fraud, we have privacy violation. As you see, identity theft, we have copyright stuff, the money transfer, and also laundering, and also ATM frauds, denial of service attacks, which are disruptive actions that really stops the target from servicing its clients. And also we have a spam, which we will define momentarily. So why do we need ethical hacking? The answer is really simple. We have to know what they do, the bad guys do, in order to stop them. And that is all ethical hacking is all about, which is being a step ahead of cyber criminals and defend against them as much as possible. So what are non-physical threats? We have loss or corruption of system data. We have disruption of business operations. We have loss of sensitive info. And we have the monitoring or spying on users' activities and also cybersecurity breaches. So common threat to every organization or everyone in the cyberspace is viruses. So viruses are destructive programs that are intended to do bad things when they get into a system. So Trojans are just like viruses, but they do seem real good. So Trojans are the same as viruses, but they do look good. So Trojans are, for example, some VPN applications on your mobile device and also does the VPN operation for you or the VPN task for you, but at the same time it spies on you. For example, it screenshots your mobile contents, it receives your contacts and stuff like that. So worms, every malware or bad program that can distribute itself, can go from one computer to the next one, from one network to the next one. This is the attribution of a worm. So these are attributions. We have spyware, which are, as the name comes out, programs that gets installed stealthy in your system and spies on you. It takes screenshots, it sends your keystrokes and stuff like that. Keyloggers are self-explanatory, so applications that installs on the system and captures all the keylogs and the program that these keystrokes are entered on. So we have adverts, which really are some annoying applications that direct the advertisers on you based on your behavior on the cyberspace. So we have denial of service attacks, which disrupts the operation of a system or target. Then we have the distributed denial of service, which there is tons and tons of attacking computers or nodes inside our network or from the internet. So it is the same attack, but it is distributed. We have unauthorized access to a computer. We have phishing, which is sending some emails or some messages to someone and deceive them in order to do some actions that is against their interests. We have other computer security risks. So this is really important, everyone. Skills required to become an ethical hacker. And in this course, we really follow these items, but you're going to find out what you should do as you go on. So please stick to some basics and then use your creativity in order to continue in this ethical hacking business. So for the purpose of this, do CTFs. You have to know some programming languages, Bash, Python, Ruby, and also C or some other languages. It really depends on your needs. Hacking skills, and for hacking skills, you should just pass this course. So in this course, we are going to cover a lot of skills that is needed in ethical hacking, such as web hacking, which is really important. 60% of the attacks are on the web, and the initial compromise of a lot of companies were through the web application because it is always accessible to the internet. So this is what we really want to work on, building tools and scripts. So you're going to be able to write your scripts in this course and also write your tools, writing exploits or shell code. So this is something that you're going to need. And also by writing, we mean modifying, because in a lot of situations there is a pre-written code or exploit that doesn't work and you should just modify it and get it executed on your target. So know how to use the internet and search engines effectively. This is also really important. Sometimes you find your answer to your problem in one forum in the internet. So someone have answered it in some forum. Also, it might be in some other languages, but you have to find this. So this is an art that you're going to gain as you go on and also during this course. So get a Linux operating system, which you have already, and practice makes you perfect. So you have to contribute in some hacker communities. We are going to do this with the community of hackers inside the Hack the Box. So there's a forum that I will show you, and there's a lot that you can exchange with a lot of hackers. And they work in a lot of ethical hacking companies or red teaming companies, pen testing companies. You can really contribute there, and also you can contribute in developing some tools or security tools, and it is really good. So let's get to the terminologies very quick. So we have adware. Adware is a software, so it spies on you to direct the ads to your system or to your browser. An attack is an action that is done on a system to get access or extract sensitive info. So what is a backdoor? So backdoor is a program that you put there in order to come back and connect back whenever you want. So also we call this persistent. So a bot is a program that automates some action, and it will be done repeatedly at a higher rate on a specific target. And botnet is the distributed bots which really act together, and also they are called a zombie army. So brute force attack. So whenever you do some guessing on a login prompt or on something that you don't have the username or the password and you try tons of dictionaries, this attack is called brute force attack. So we have buffer overflows. Don't get to the details. I just want you to have some basic understanding regarding these names. So imagine that you have specify 20 megabytes for an application and your user has an input of 30 megabytes on your application. So what is happening to that 10 megabytes? So this is called buffer overflow, when you overflow the dedicated space and bad things happens there. You can put some instructions there which the CPU will do the execution for you, and remote code execution happens, a lot of local exploits happens and stuff like that. So we have phishing or clone phishing, when you clone some legitimate email and then you modify it in order to do some disruptive actions. So crackers are people who modify the software in order to access the features without paying anything. So denial of service attacks and DDoS attacks, we know. So exploit kits are installed on web servers by the attackers, and they have tons of exploits on them. And when the victim's browser comes to your web server or to the attacker's website, based on the browser and the version of it, some specific exploits will run and they try to get access on that specific victim. So we have exploit. Exploit is a piece of software, a chunk of data, which takes advantage of a bug or vulnerability in order to gain access to some system. So a firewall is a filter designed to keep unwanted intruders or traffic outside your network. So keystroke logging, you already know it. The logic bomb, whatever piece of code that you put there and you specify a condition for it. So malwares are any piece of software that is hostile or intrusive, including viruses, worms, trojan, ransomwares, and whatever you have. So ransomwares are programs that encrypt your data and ask for money in exchange for decrypting them. So we have CNCs or command and controls, which are a program a black hat hacker uses to remotely transmit commands to infected zombie drones. By zombie drones, we mean the infected computers. So CNC is the place that hacker gathers all its victims and directs them with specific commands so they should run them. So the phishing attack is an email or fraud method in which the attackers send out legitimate looking emails in an attempt to gather personal info or deceive some user or victim. So a phreaker, which is really old, but people who hacked the telephone system were called phreakers in the old days. Rootkits are also malwares, but they install on, for example, on the level of the kernel. So they install as the drivers, and their detection is really hard because they are a piece of sophisticated codes that run on the system. And we have shrink wrap code, which is shrink wrap code attack is an act of exploiting holes in an unpatched or poorly configured software. So we have social engineering. It implies deceiving people with the purpose of stealing information, passwords, credit cards, whatever. So social engineering is really important in red teaming operations. So we have a spam, we have a spoofing, which is a technique that you gain unauthorized access by pretending to be someone that you are not. And we have spywares, we have worms. A threat is a possible danger that can exploit an existing bug or vulnerability to compromise the security of a computer. So whenever there is a bug or vulnerability, there is threat. A Trojan horse, which you know, and the virus, the vulnerability, is a weakness in an application that attackers use in order to gain access. So we have SQL injection. We are going to cover these on the web attack sections, but for now, because these two attacks are really important in ethical hacking, we just wanted you to know the basics. So SQL injection is an SQL code injection technique used to attack data-driven applications. So there is a SQL query in the application and you interfere with it and you modify it in order to execute some other SQL codes and extract information out of that database. And we have cross-site scripting, which is a vulnerability inside the web applications, and it enables attackers to run code on behalf of the web application on the users of that application. So it's called hacking. Penetration testing is a method that many companies follow in order to minimize their security breaches. And it is a really controlled operation. So types of pen testing: black box, which is without any information and you just start doing pen tests on your clients. And gray box is within some information. For example, they give you some username and password, they give you a VPN, or they put you in a place which firewall rules does not apply, or some, for example, web application firewalls are disabled on your IP address. All that is called gray box. And white box is when you fully have access to the customer's application or assets. For example, they give you the source codes, they give you the configuration files and stuff. So this is called white box. So the external is self-explanatory. You sit outside the network of your client, and the internal is the opposite. So that's it, everyone, and thanks for watching this video, and let the hacking begin.